Boker Tov, it's wonderful to be with you here this morning. I'm Rabbi Shaner from Temple Sinai, and I'm really excited to spend this time as a community together with our daily chance to reflect, connect, and remember. As we begin every morning together, we'll start with simple thought of gratitude for the very fact that we are here, that we have a body that mostly functions most of the time, that we have a spirit and a self that allow us to show up, to be a part of this community, to go about our day and use our time for a sacred purpose. And so we'll begin with a prayer for our bodies and spirits to say thank you, to say that we are grateful for this opportunity. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yatzar et ha'adam bechokma ubaravo nekavim nekavim chalulim chalulim גלוי וידוע לפני כיסא כבודך, שאם יפתח אחד מהם, או יסייתם אחד מהם, אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך. ברוך אתה אדוני, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Eternal God, we praise you as the healer of body and spirit. We continue with a selection from our Birchot HaShachar, our morning blessings, blessings which take each small action that we might do as we prepare for our day, as we wake up and get moving, and which say, thank God that is happening. Thank God that's a miracle. And so we'll say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim. God be blessed. You open the eyes of the blind, and you clothe the naked, and you release those who are held captive, and help those who are bowed to stand straight, and maintain the balance of the land and the sea so that we can all stand up and be a part of this world. And so now we will continue with a blessing for the study of Torah, for the sacred opportunity to stretch our minds and our hearts and to learn the lessons of our tradition. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah v'ha'arevna Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Toratcha b'finu v'fi amcha beit Yisrael ונהיה אנחנו וצאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל, כולנו יודעי שמך, ולומדי תורתך לשמה. ברוך אתה אדוני, המלמד Torah לעמו ישראל. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you sanctify our lives with mitzvot and command us to engage in Torah study. Eternal our God, may your words of Torah be sweet to us. Let every generation, young and old, the whole family of Israel, come to know you through the study of Torah for its own sake. Eternal God, we praise you as the teacher of Torah to your people Israel. We offer these words from our Torah, which remind us that we are part of something larger than ourselves and that everything is connected to one single point, as we say that God is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת. והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. The very last phrases in the Shema remind us that we were slaves once and that we are now free. And that freedom doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from a change in history, an opening. And just as we are about to continue our study of the Aleph Bet this morning, it's worth keeping in mind that if things feel stuck, if things feel closed, that sometimes things change and that an opening might occur. And so this morning, what we're going to be learning together, as we continue to learn the lessons of the Aleph Bet, the easily looked over lessons of the forms and the order of the letters, and not just of the words that they give us in our tradition, in our texts, is that we're going to continue our learning with the letter Hey. Hey is the fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it doesn't have a sound of its own. It makes the aspirant sound of breath moving through the vocal column, and is the basis of all of the letters in that it's the way that we make any speech happen at all, because our breath has to move through. And so the letter Hey sounds just like this. And if we add a vowel or another letter to it, we can start to make speech. Ha, wa, wa, wa. That speech is a kind of window outside of ourselves. And so the letter Hey, accordingly, has a form that reflects that. This is the letter Hey. You can see how it is a column of space, of air, with an opening, a window at the top, just like our own vocal column, just like our own ability to speak. If this were closed here, we would not be able to speak out. We would not be able to reach beyond our own selves, our own inner world, the world of our thoughts. And we would not necessarily be able to reach out to understand that there is another person out there, outside of ourselves. And so the letter Hey is really about the otherness that we create when we reach outside of ourselves and we recognize that we are not all that there is. When we start to communicate, when we start to speak, we're able to recognize that there's a whole world out there outside of ourselves, and this window is our way out to it. It also is the letter, as I said, the letter that represents breath, because it is this breath going in and out. And therefore, the letter that represents being. We are who we are because of this breath being able to move in and out. But I want to come back to the sense of otherness, the sense that by reaching out beyond ourselves, we're able to understand and connect with someone else, to make a journey. And I want to show you a very particular letter Hey, not just the letter itself, but one particular letter Hey that illustrates this very well. This letter is written in the Torah, written in the scroll, in the book of Numbers, when talking about the Pesach Sheni, the second opportunity to celebrate Passover for those who are unable to follow with the rest of the community in marking the day of Passover on the actual day. So already we're dealing with a situation of otherness, of people who aren't able to fit into the expectations of the community. And the text describes these people as people who have a long journey to make in order to offer the Passover sacrifice. And the word for a long journey, derech rechoka. Here's the word derech, here's the word rechoka. In Numbers chapter 9, verse 10, in the Torah scroll, we write the letter Hey at the end of that long journey, the end of that derech rechoka, with a little nikud, a little point, a dot over the letter Hey. And our tradition explains that this dot is purposeful, that it has something to teach us. And so when we look at the text, in Numbers it says, speak to the Israelite people, explaining that when any of you or your children are defiled by a corpse or are on a long journey and would offer a Passover sacrifice to God but can't because the journey is too long, then they should wait a month and offer it on Pesach Sheni. So the Mishnah comes along and explains, asking, what is a far journey? They want a definition in distance. They want to be able to understand who should be allowed and who should not be allowed to make use of this Pesach Sheni to bring their offering. And so first you get what sounds like a pretty serious answer. We say, min modi'im v'lachutz, from Modi'im and beyond, and the same distance on all sides of Jerusalem. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. That's a basic definition of what counts as a long journey. The number of miles, the number of days it takes to walk from Modi'in to Jerusalem. But Rabbi Eliezer comes and says, actually, a derech rechoka, a long journey, is from the threshold of the temple court beyond. That in order to cross the threshold into the house of God, you have to make a long journey spiritually. And so this isn't, Rabbi Eliezer can't possibly be talking about who gets to use this Pesach Sheni, because if that were the case, everyone would have the opportunity to celebrate Passover in this way, and no one would be obligated on Passover itself. However, Rabbi, he's not drawing this image of the threshold of the temple court from nowhere, as the Mishnah comes and tells us. Rabbi Yossi said to him, for that reason, the dot over the Hey is there in order to teach us, not that the derech rechoka is a real long journey, but that it is the journey, the spiritual journey of crossing the threshold into the temple courtyard. In other words, by reaching out to God, by trying to have a relationship with the universe commanding, totally other, totally outside of our experience being, that is God, we have to make a very long spiritual journey in order to enter the house. And so we get this letter Hey with a dot over it to show that we are both outside of this house and that we have a long way to go into it. And at the same time, it's part of us. It's like the air that we breathe, coming in and out. And I think that that's the case, not just of our relationship with God, but of our relationship with one another too. When we try to get to know another person. When we understand that someone is a whole person, we understand that there are parts of that person that we can never really understand, that we are all unknowable and unique to a certain extent, uh, and yet we all breathe the same air. We all are connected by the air around us, by existence itself. And when we open up to speak to one another, when we make that attempt to reach out, we are making a derech rechoka, a long journey, possible by opening that window in the letter Hey. And so just as we try our best to understand and to reach out to others, we now take a moment to reach out in our thoughts and in our hearts and with the words on our breath to those who are ill and isolated and working hard to keep the rest of us safe and secure and healthy by working in essential work so that the rest of us can try to limit our exposure to viruses like the novel coronavirus. We take a moment now to bring to mind anyone who's connected to our community or a part of our community who is suffering, and offer these words of healing from our tradition. Mishaberach avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov, ve'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Leah veRachel, hu yirapeh et kol makotenu, v'hiratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu, lehachalimam ulerapotam, וישלח לנו מהרה רפואה שלמה ועטרת שלום, ותגן עלינו ממחלה רעה, ונאמר Amen. May the one who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our mothers, Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel, heal all who suffer. May it be your will to provide healing and strength, and reveal to us the holiness of life and the wholeness of shalom, and to guard us from all illness. And let us say together, Amen. Well, we've come to the moment in our service where we remember those who went before us, and where we do our best to keep their memories present. We call to mind this morning those who have died in recent days and weeks, and offer our condolences to the families of Reuben Devlin, Gerald Goldstein, David Garber, Zena Werb, Robert Filler, Rose Rich, and Alan Fridson, as well as remembering this morning, this 22nd of Tammuz, Tuesday, July 14th, those who died at this time in years past. Kylie Heather Archinoff, Maida Beck, Elsie Cowan, Ruth Dax, Sally Leiterman, Isidore Lipson, Margarita Reinsberg, Joel Robinson, Stuart Sigismund, Frida Smith, Michael Stone, and Rose Sugar. Zichronam livracha. May their memories always bring us blessing as we turn to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope, the words of the Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmeh Rabbah, be'alma divrachir uteh v'yanlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehe shmeh Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'le'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehe shlama Rabbah min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'maromav hu yaraseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who remember, as we say together, Amen. Well, it's been wonderful to spend this morning time together. to connect together and remember everyone in our community and to be a part of a community. I hope that you'll join me as we continue every day at 8:30 in the morning, and that you'll join us for other events, all of which can be found on Temple Sinai's website, and that you get out there and make it a great day. Boker Tov.